Hey guys, MCU Collect here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series Iron Man Wave 1 Ursa Major Build-A-Figure of the Winter Guard. And here is the video for the Build-A-Figure itself, Ursa Major. So you can see I have all the parts spread out here. So let's put this bad boy together. So first we'll start off with the torso piece. And we will attach the back piece like so. Like so, like so. Eee. Oh, hold on. Ooh. That sounded all bad, right? So don't, careful. Be making them cracking noises. Boom. Like butter. Slides right on in. Okay. So now we get this back fur piece. So there's two ports. So you got a peg hole there and kind of a square hole there. You have the peg and the square. So you drape it over the shoulder, pull it down a little bit, and then just line up the two pegs. So we have the fur there. One thing that I want to try, I think it's Inhaled Farts. He's been asking me, does the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure head go onto this torso? And as you can see, the torso, the head is different. We have the peg on the Sasquatch head, but the torso piece here has the ball peg. So different styles, it ain't gonna work. So I wanted to get that out of the way. So here, let's do the legs. So we get the left leg. Want to pop that on. That is not as smooth as some of the other Build-A-Figures to get that leg on there. You really have to apply force. Usually legs just kind of pop on, but man, that was kind of stiff to get those legs on there. So there are the legs, and you can see how tall our Ursa Major Build-A-Figure is going to be. I'm looking at it. I don't think any of this is reused. I think this is 100% new sculpt. I had the first thought maybe some of the parts would be reused, but it doesn't look like any of it's reused and that it's all going to be 100% new for Ursa Major. So let's do the arms. We have the left arm. That plugs in nice. We got the right arm. That plugs in nicely as well. And here is the Build-A-Figure so far. Looking really good. And now the final piece, the head piece. George is going to be proud of me. Plastic addict himself. Let's see. And we pop the head on and bam! There is our Ursa Major Build-A-Figure. And this guy is big, but he's actually not as big as I kind of thought he would be. He's still a very good size, don't get me wrong, but not as big as I thought. I thought he was going to be a little bit taller. Let me pop the Sasquatch head back on. We'll see how these two measure out side by side. And you can see Sasquatch might actually be, as I pull the Sasquatch leg right off, Sasquatch might actually be a little bit taller. Mine's kind of, oh man, my Sasquatch Build-A-Figure is getting really loose. Sasquatch is actually a little bit taller than Ursa Major. I didn't think that was going to be the case. Ursa Major's is a little bit bulkier in the torso and the legs and the arms, but width-wise, they're probably about the same. Yeah, just a tad bit taller. Width, they're about the same because, you know, Sasquatch, his arms kind of stick out a little bit. But damn, there is the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure. Let's zoom in on that face. Okay, so here's the close-up of Ursa Major, and this thing is awesome. So I changed the video settings a little bit to show out some of the brightness, to really show you guys all the highlights and shading and stuff that is throughout this figure. The sculpt of it is awesome, all the fur and everything, which is really cool, but the highlight for me is really the shading throughout that really brings depth and attention to the sculpt, which is really nice. You can see here on the face, we get a little, on the cheeks, you get a lot of darker shading in there, right here in the ear as well. Around the eyes, a lot of black there to really show the depth. The eyes are just white, but it just looks really good. And then looking throughout the torso, look at some of the dark shading that they do throughout the torso. Looks fantastic here on the legs as well. Really good there on the arm. So really like the way that came out looking. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot on the back of the figure, and that's kind of you know, what we've come to expect out of Hasbro, unfortunately. It looks like the back of the torso actually does have a little bit, but the lower portion of the torso and the legs, not really so much. I mean, there's a little bit, even in the feet there's a little bit, but there's just, overall, there's not so much on the back. Arms just look really good. Just an awesome looking figure. The head sculpt is fantastic. One thing that it is missing, though, is an articulated jaw. We know Hasbro is able and capable of doing those things. They just did not do it here, unfortunately. So no articulated jaw. That mouth is going to stay open that entire time. But the sculpt of it is really nice. You got the tongue in there, which is a separate piece. You got the teeth that are painted nicely in there, along with the inside of the mouth. I mean, look at the detail of the sculpt, even at the roof of the mouth. That just looks awesome. Man, Ursa Major just looks really, really nice. So let's zoom out so you can see how well he moves. Okay, here I am zoomed out with the light still kind of a little bit brighter, so you can really see the details of the shading overall throughout the whole body of the figure, like right here through the legs, all over the torso and everything, into the shoulders, that fur, his face, the head, the top of his head, here on the arms. Just looks fantastic. Really, really, really like the way it all came out looking. But how does he move? Let's check out his articulation. So Ursa Major is going to be pretty limited in some things. He's not going to be able to look up. That's as high up as you're going to get that. He can move his head down and look downwards a little bit, though. So depending on the angle, it could look like he's kind of looking straight out still, but it looks down. But then we get this gap between kind of the fur portion of his head as it meets his neck and the shoulders there, and that looks kind of funky from the side. Straight on, you're not going to notice it, but it's just something that's there, so I want to point it out. You can get the arm to go up all the way to where it's just going to pop out, so at some point you're going to have to stop, but you can get it to go basically straight out. You get a full rotation, but watch out for that fur piece on the shoulder, because you're going to kind of pop that off unless you kind of work around it a little bit. Then you're going to be good. We have the upper bicep swivel there. We have a single jointed elbow that gives you that much bend at the elbow, so solid 90 degrees. There's also a swivel at the elbow. But one thing that I don't like the hinges on this thing is, look at the ugly hinge on the elbow there. It's actually poking up out of the sculpt. So unless you have the arm kind of at that position, it's not really noticeable. But when you straighten out the arm, that hinge just sticks out. It looks a little weird to me. But again, that swivel there. The wrists swivel and they do hinge. And then the hinge on the paw or the hand is kind of the same thing. It's just really got this ugly hinge there that just kind of sticks out and is really noticeable. So depending on how you do the hand will determine that. But then on the back, same thing. It's just sticks out and looks weird and breaks up the sculpt of it. Not the end of the world. It's just something that's there and really noticeable. We have a diaphragm joint, so he can pivot to his left that much. He can pivot to his right that much. Let's see, going back. You can go back quite a bit, but then it just looks really weird the way it moves back on there. You can see the sculpt of it doesn't really work for that as much as it can move there. It just looks really, really weird. One thing is it doesn't really go forward, unfortunately, and the sculpt really breaks up on the back there. So that's a little unfortunate. And then you get a twist, of course, at that diaphragm joint because there's no waist swivel. Legs go out. Get these arms out of the way. Legs can go out that far apart. He can kick forward that high, which is pretty good. We have a single jointed knee, so you're only going to get that much bend at the knee. We have a foot that hinges all the way down, hinges all the way up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet or paws, and I really like that we get the sculpted paws down on the bottom, and I like the sculpted paws there on the hands, so that is pretty cool. So decent articulation for such a large character. Single jointed elbows, single jointed knees, but we tend to get that with these large characters. But damn it, doesn't he look good? I think so. Okay, so here is the Winter Guard all together. So we have now Ursa Major, Dark Star that was included in this wave, Red Guardian from the... was it the Giant Man Build-A-Figure wave for Captain America Civil War, or was it the Onslaught wave? It was one of those waves. I don't think it was the Abomination wave, but it was one of those waves. I want to say it was the Giant Man Build-A-Figure. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember. It was a few years ago. But there we have the Winter Guard together, and they all look pretty good. Crimson Dynamo and Ursa Major are about the same size. Let's see if we go back to back. Yeah, they're about the same height, actually. So it's kind of fitting that you know we would have them together, and they're just about as tall as each other. But the Winter Guard all together looks pretty good. Okay, so here is the entire Iron Man wave. So for normally when I do the Build-A-Figures, I do a little bit of a ranking. If I were to include the Build-A-Figure, he would probably be my number 2 or number 3. It's kind of hard to say, but he'd definitely be up there. But if I'm gonna rank the wave, I am going to go Modular Iron Man, Ironheart, number 2, number 3, Ultron, number 4, Stealth Iron Man, number 5, Vault Guardsman, number 6, Hologram Iron Man, and number 7 will be Darkstar. Only because that figure, in terms of an action figure, it's just not very good. Character, that's great. Winter Guard, that's awesome. But the figure itself is just really lackluster, and just it's an old mold, and we just need something better, updated, more articulation, everything. So again, my ranking would be Modular Iron Man number 1, Ironheart number 2, Ultron number 3, Stealth Iron Man number 4, Vault Guardsman number 5, Hologram Iron Man number 6, Darkstar number 7, Ursa Major I'd probably put actually it'd probably be number 4 after Ultron. That Ultron figure is really good. Ironheart really impressed the hell out of me. It being a female figure, double jointed elbows, all pinless. The accessories are really nice. The unmasked head sculpt is really cool. Just an outstanding figure right there. From an action figure standpoint, regardless of character, you know, how you feel about the character or anything, that is a fantastic figure. Modular Iron Man is just superb in every way. Same with Ultron, but the Iron Man figures just kind of tend to I enjoy a little bit more than the Ultron, let's say. But that is my ranking. You guys let me know down in the comments below. How would you rank this Iron Man wave, either with the Build-A-Figure or without? But let me know down in the comments below. Okay, and there is my review of the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure. I'm very pleased with it, and he's definitely going to be a contender for Build-A-Figure of the Year. I'm trying to think back at all the Build-A-Figures that we got. What did we get? Stiltman, Captain America Flight Gear, which kind of doesn't count, but counts a little bit. We had Mr. Hyde. We had... God, what was... We had the Tri-Sentinel, which is a fantastic Build-A-Figure. So only a few Build-A-Figures. I feel like we've been lacking on Build-A-Figures, and I know there's still several waves to come this year, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But Ursa Major is definitely going to be in the top 3 for sure, I would say. We'll see what the rest of the year has to offer us, but an outstanding Build-A-Figure that I'm very pleased with. It's an awesome wave. The Iron Man figures, more Iron Man, which sucks, but such good figures. The Hologram Iron Man, maybe not as much. It's decent enough. I think it's a cool concept, at least. But the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure is a fantastic Build-A-Figure, and I'm very pleased with it. But you guys let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this figure? Are you happy with it? Mad about it? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.